Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, fresh attacks on 3 villages in Plateau State leaves 6 people dead and several properties destroyed. Manager of Ogba Zoo in Edo State, Andrea Hanire, regains his freedom after spending 3 weeks in captivity. Federal government says there's no such thing as $25 billion NNPC contract anywhere. A massive bomb attack in the Somali capital, Mogadishu, claims the lives of over 200 people, with several others injured. We begin from Plateau State, north-central Nigeria, where in spite of a state government-imposed curfew, 3 villages have come under attack, leaving at least 6 people dead and others injured. The attacks, which happened at the dead of the night, caught security operatives unawares as a gunman shot sporadically at the residents. The state government has, however, assured the citizens to remain calm while it beefs up security in the area with a pledge to bring the perpetrators to book.
For the people of Miango district in Bassa local government area of Plateau State. Since the 7th of September, when Ancha village was attacked, several other villages have also suffered similar fate, the latest being Taagbe, where 6 people are reportedly killed and several others injured. Ruins of the incident dot every corner of the community, with the people left in tears and anguish to rue their losses.
They are trying making land or Miango district a grazing land. We will graze even the farms of my people. We don't have food now because cows have been destroying our food crop.
The attack, according to this eyewitness, happened in the dead of the night, with attackers shooting sporadically and setting houses ablaze. During an assessment tour of the area, the police commissioner of the state expressed surprise at the incident in spite of the ongoing dusk to dawn curfew imposed in the area.
While the citizens are complying with the curfew imposed, it's unfortunate that the attackers did not adhere to it, and that is why this incident took place. We are going to advise accordingly what next steps to be taken so that even such incidents don't occur again.
Only recently, women in Miango are taken to the street to protest the incessant attack, which they claim has become a sordid and confusing situation for them.
We need peace in this land. The killing is okay. We don't need another killing. It's okay. They should leave us alone. Because normally they used to go around here with their cows. You will see soldier man with them. Okay, are they here for the Fulani or they are here for the entire community?
The lives of these villagers will most likely remain traumatized and draped in fears until the perpetrators of this dastardly act are apprehended and brought to book. In the meantime, whatever it will require to give them back their peace must be dispensed without inhibition, and they hope the relevant authorities would heed their call.
Staying with communal issues, several persons have been confirmed injured and property destroyed following a clash between Danere community of Boki local government area of Cross River State and Bodam region of Cameroon. The crisis is said to have erupted as a result of protracted tensions over poorly defined international boundaries. The Cross River State Commissioner for Police, Hafiz Inua, who confirmed the incident to Channels Television, says peace has since been restored to the disputed area.
The Cameroonians from Bodam village are encroaching into the Nigerian territory, which rightly belongs to Nigeria and belongs to the people of Danere. The casualty recorded was, we have seen 6 people who sustained pellet wounds. The number of casualties they were alleging that so many people were killed is not true. Myself, and the SSA representing State Security Advisor representing His Excellency the Governor of Cross River State, and the Honorable Commissioner in charge, from that area, or Honorable Member of State House of Assembly from that area. As we went to that place, we went there for confidence building and to reassure the people that the Cross River State government and indeed the federal government of Nigeria is solidly behind them.
The abducted manager of Ogba Zoo in Benin City, Mr. Andrew Ehanire, has regained his freedom following 2 weeks in captivity. Mr. Ehanire is said to have been released by his captors late last night. A close family source who disclosed this to Channels Television insists that they're not ready to speak to the media just yet. However, another source says a ransom was paid to the abductors to secure Mr. Ehanire's release. The police authorities in Edo State have not been available for comment, and our correspondents have been trying to get their response. The chief executive officer of the zoo was kidnapped on Sunday, September 24th, by gunmen who also killed 3 policemen posted to the facility to provide security for fun seekers. The security situation in the country is one that has reached an alarming level, no thanks to high unemployment rate, poverty, political thuggery, to mention a few. The matter is made much worse with what many describe as the meager amount of police officers mandated to provide adequate security for the population. In this next report, our correspondent, Oroluwa Shonibare, examines security, or in this case, the lack of it.
High unemployment rate, poverty, drug abuse, political motive. Some of the many causes of crime. One would imagine that with this in mind, there would be an adequate number of policemen in Nigeria deployed to contain the menace. But unfortunately, there appears to be a dearth of security personnel. A statement credited to a former Minister of Police Affairs in 2012 pegged the population of Nigeria Police Force at 370,000. When compared to the population of about 170 million Nigerians, that is approximately 1 policeman to 460 people. Considering the size of the nation, this ratio can be described as grossly inadequate. A far cry from the United Nations recommendation of 222 policemen per 100,000 citizens. No one knows if the proposed addition of 280,000 officers ever happened, and if any difference was felt if it did. This has given rise to a situation where crimes of various forms are committed with ease. Kidnapping, armed robbery, ritual killings, insurgent attacks. The most recent cases being the kidnap of the owner of a zoo in Edo State, the killing of 3 officials of the National Drug and Law Enforcement Agency in Kogi State, and here's one to raise the eyebrow. An attack on the home of a former Inspector General of Police, which left an officer dead. The discovery of arms by the customs has created a disconcerting feeling for the ordinary Nigerian who already has a tough time feeling safe. The problems associated with crime are so numerous that the solutions appear too daunting to solve. Many feel that an ideal situation would be for the number of police officers to be at least 10% of the population. That and the calls for the creation of state police would go a long way in mitigating the problem. The quest for seeking an end to insecurity in Nigeria is as old as the problem itself. So those who have turned a blind eye to solving the problem in the past must act now, before criminality spreads its tentacles and becomes a force that cannot be stopped. Oroluwa Shonibare, Channels Television News.
For more on the security situation in the country, we're now joined on the news at 10 by retired Major General Cecil Taagbe. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Good evening, General. It's been a weekend of security threats from Katsina, where the residence of a former IGP was attacked, to the attacks on villages in Plateau State. What do you think is responsible for the spate of attacks we're seeing in different parts of the country?
Well, Amarachi, good evening. It's a frightening dimension that can be best described as an apocalypse. What is going on is in the national discourse, we have discussed the various factors that have caused this insecurity. But what we need to define is a security architecture that will help us address this myriad of security challenges. For instance, the proliferation of small arms and light weapons have remained unchecked. And institutions that are tasked to do all these issues have also not lived up to expectation. For instance, the one that happened in Plateau State, I had a police commissioner saying that there was a curfew while the citizens complied, that the attackers or the assailant did not comply. How do you want the assailant to comply? The assailant will not tell you they are coming to attack. So what you need to do is to put in the measures that will help you track them and get them out of the system. But you don't want the assailant to tell you that they are coming. Assailants are not within your purview, so they are not going to comply with whatever decisions that you have made or the security measures you are doing. So you have to be proactive. The security architecture I'm actually talking about is redesigning our policing system. Community policing is just described, as a euphemism for security challenges addressing. But taking it in further notice is to properly get the community to get involved in the policing of their environment. For instance, in advanced countries, you have various surveillance measures, but where they are not available, you have the locals who are able to tell you when there's a breach of security. If we don't get the locals involved in our security architecture, the police are already overstretched, and the attitudinal change to do a better job is lacking in the system.
I do understand what you're saying about community policing and the security agencies being overwhelmed, but you also need to be careful who you're recruiting in the community to be sure that they're people who are worthy of these positions and who can actually help work with the police and with other security agencies to protect the communities, right?
Yes. The issue there is that there seems to be a breach of contract, social contract between the government and the people. Now the issue of man must work has become an issue. Man must survive has become an issue. So even in the local populace, it is difficult to decipher who is real and who is not real, because the easiest way to make money is through these security aberrations like armed robbery, kidnappings, and all that. So what you do in this case is to actually make sure that there is a lot of employment activity that is going on. For instance, in Nigeria today, 56% of Nigerian youths are unemployed. So when they are unemployed and they are hungry, so it's really difficult to say, oh, don't do this and don't do that. So the issue is there must be a deliberate effort to creating employment for these teeming youths. And secondly, the politicians have used some of these youths to perpetrate themselves in political advantages. But after their elections, they abandon these youths, and the youths now have to defend themselves or fend for themselves. So there is need for a partnership, a viral partnership between the government and the people, which is lacking right now.
So should we make security agencies more attractive so that, you have more citizens like the unemployed that you mentioned, more of them wanting to be recruited by security agencies?
If there is a call for submission of applications, they will not be able to address the number of applicants. The issue is we need more policemen. Secondly, they need to be equipped. Thirdly, the attitudinal change need to be addressed. So we need more policemen. They need to be repackaged. The entire Nigerian police need to be repackaged with more equipment, more focus, and ability to actually say the patriotism to serve this country must be crisp and clear.
Major General Cecil S. Taagbe, thank you for joining us on the News at 10. In part two, after the break, residents and commuters plying the Biase-Calabar Federal Highway live in fear of the road caving in because of heavy rains. Please stay with us.